talking today. I'm joined here by John, and we're going to be talking about persistence with women in an attractive way, or even just persistence in general. We'll discuss this topic, and we're going to kind of cover a little bit of, staying positive in the moment, no matter what the situation is, having that positive outlook on it. So yeah, let's get right into it. Persistence. Why is it beneficial to be persistent with girls in an attractive way and not in an unattractive way?
Let's see if I can get this handle on this thing. Shit. All right, so persistence. I think persistence is something that I've struggled with throughout my entire life, and it's only been until recently that I've really started to see the benefits of persistence, and really I've analyzed it, and I've been asking myself why is persistence so important? And I think it has a lot to do with gender roles, what men and women have been conditioned to do. So men have always been conditioned to lead, right? So women tend to follow, and I honestly believe that they do this subconsciously. And I think once you are persistent, it's a form of leadership, that in itself, and that really attracts a girl, because all they have to do is follow, and that in itself is attractive to them. I think when I was a person that wasn't very persistent, I used to not be persistent because just because it was difficult. It was difficult to stay on top of things and really take the lead, or that at least that's what I thought, right? It's I think in many ways we have the perception that it's easier to follow, and sometimes it is, right? But I think once you gain leadership skills, it's easy to lead, and it's really rewarding, because you're making the decisions and other people are just following. You know what I mean? And I honestly think if you say something with enough conviction, people will just follow. And sometimes it trips me out. I'll say something and people will follow, and I'm just what the fuck? What, these guys are actually listening to me. You know what I mean? And yeah, and that's what girls are looking for. They're when they find a guy who leads, they're all in, because that's what they want too, but they won't ever say it. You know what I mean? And my key I guess rule would be, unless a girl says fuck no to you, or is giving you clear signs of not consenting, that's the only time you stop. Because even if she's saying no, but in a playful way, that's when you know, all right, let's continue this, let's be persistent.
Yeah.
And girls love that. It's almost and you gotta you also have to think that the girls aren't thinking about this just about, they're thinking in the long run. They're thinking about the relationship in the long run. So they're testing you out. They want to see how you do. How far can this guy, how does this guy really like me? And that's where persistence is key. So yeah, be persistent. Be somebody that takes the lead. It's worked out for me, and I think that that's why it's beneficial, because because you become the leader, and you become very assertive, and you're in control of your life. So yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's legit, and definitely all good points to make. Yeah, it's highly attractive because based on like the gender roles too, I think. Because it is nice to it's nice when other people make decisions for you, or you don't have to think as much, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like that is attractive to girls. Girls are gonna like that quality in and of itself. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're trying to attract the opposite sex, or even anyone really, or like if you're trying to like even be like a cool person to your homies and shit, if you can make more decisions and allow people to have to think less, that's actually more comfortable or like appealing, you know what I mean, to just other people in general. So it's like, yeah, definitely you want to have that as part of your tool belt when you're attracting women too. Don't throw that out the window just because now you're talking to girls, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's a cool factor, is that you're being a leader, you're making decisions for the two of you, and because sometimes, yeah.
But I don't. That's another thing about persistence, that I don't think you're like making decisions for the two of you, right? I think it's like a shared decision, but you're just the one that's bringing it up, right? Because that's what the girl wants, but she'll never, like I said, she'll never say it.
Yeah.
And
Because that would be her leading.
That would be her leading,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So and sometimes, and like I used to do this all the time, whenever it's like some shit, like, and it could be like some small shit, like when a girl would be like, specifically in a pickup situation, when a girl would be like, when I would ask her out on a date, and she would say something like, oh, like, maybe I invited her out to a movie or something. It's like, oh, I don't like movies. And like my automatic thought was like, shit, she doesn't want to go out with me.
Right.
And I would just like stop right there, like cold turkey. But it was kind of like I was trying to I wasn't reading it correctly, is really the thing, and she wasn't gonna come up to me and like suggest something else.
Right.
So
I'm gonna do it like this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna record on this, that way you can have that one. Yeah.
The iPhone game.
And then I'll just edit it in.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's just like I said, like you have to like be able to read things and say, hey, this girl, maybe she's not texting me, or maybe she's not calling me, and don't take it too serious. Because
Yeah.
I used to take it too serious. I'm like, this girl doesn't text me, she doesn't like me, oh my god, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, nah, like unless she says like fuck no, like I said, unless she says fuck no, or she's like giving you
no
clear
means
signs.
no.
Yeah. I'm not consenting. Like I don't want you to rape the girl, all right? Don't be doing that shit.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like you have to be persistent, and like I said, when you're persistent and when you're assertive, girls will follow. I assure you.
Yeah.
Like girls will follow. Not just everybody. Like anybody will follow if you're assertive. And
Right.
I think people usually are mirrors. Girls are mirrors to you. If you say something and you're kind of like floppy on it or whatever, like she's gonna be thinking in her head like, like he's floppy about it. Maybe he doesn't want to do that thing. So I'm gonna be floppy about it too.
Right.
And sometimes when that happens, we're like, shit, like she doesn't want to do it. Like fuck, like, and you're already floppy, so you're like, all right, never mind.
Mm-hmm.
Like let's not do that. And then that just makes you look like a person that's not assertive.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And maybe sometimes the girl won't want to do that thing, but she sees that you're like so assertive that she's like, okay, like this is something that he wants to do.
Right.
So I'm going to be attracted to him, and I'm going to be like, yeah, let's do it. That'll be fun, Yeah. And that's all like girls are really like looking for, is like having that fun and like, I don't know, just having somebody that leads them.
Yeah.
Really.
And honestly, that's a perfect transition, because what that's making me think of now, or reminding me of, is that it also goes in line with confidence. You know what I mean? Like this goes in line, like whenever like they ask girls, what do you like in guys and stuff, and they always say like a sense of humor and confidence, right? Are like some of the two like main things you always hear, right? And it's true. Like these things are true.
Yeah.
That girls say, but it's like that makes no sense to a motherfucker who doesn't know anything about game. You know what I mean? Or relationships or actually attracting women and stuff.
Yeah, because
they're just going to be confused.
Confidence is pretty broad.
It's too broad. Yeah, exactly. And even like a sense of humor, you can be funny to this group of people or something, but it's not the kind of humor that's like attractive to that attractive girls like. You know what I mean? Or you might be funny as hell to like fucking weird looking girls or some shit. You know what I mean? And fucking, or like, yeah. So it's like you want to start kind of like narrowing down what it is, you know. And part of confidence is that persistence. That's what girls are talking about. They're like, if you can persist and it doesn't phase you or it doesn't get you all shaken up, you're just staying strong. You're a strong man, you know what I mean? Going forward, girls really respond well to that.
Actions speak louder than words, man.
Right, and there's kind of like even thinking about it deep, like there's a survival value to that kind of behavior. You know what I mean? And and girls pick up on that. And like what I was talking about in podcast number 2, I was referring to reference experiences, right? And reference experiences like all the knowledge that you get from books, different videos that you watch, other mentors, all kinds of different things, right? And then your own experience is reference experience, you know, things that you can bounce your future ideas off of or base them off of, you know what I mean? All the experiences that you've had in the past and things you've heard and listened to and read in books and stuff. And so couple of like reference experiences that I wanted to mention that have kind of like guided my behavior, I've been aware of them, is like with persistence, is there's this comedian Louis C.K. And in one of his stand-ups, and in one of his stand-ups he says he's talking about this chick that he like that they hooked up or they're about to, and they're in the hotel room, and he's like, they're like kissing and stuff and like making out a little bit, and then anytime he tries to like make a move, she's like no, like, and like stops him and shit. And then like, and he's like, all right, so he goes back to like kissing with them, like just they're like touching stuff, it's getting kind of heavy, and then whenever he goes to like do like something the next level, she's like no, and like keep saying that shit. And they go back to, and then finally they end up leaving, and
you just raped her.
No, and then it's just no, what's funny,
plot twist.
It's okay. Yeah, so persistence is just basically about rape. That's what we're trying to say.
It's just a joke for all the feminists that are listening.
No means no, except when it doesn't.
Oh God.
That's what they say. That's what they want you to believe. No, so he
there's probably podcasts out there, dude, that are like just like pro rape and like fuck.
I personally doubt it, but
no, I do it. There's a lot of shit out there.
That's true, but like I still kind of doubt that. There's all right. Rape podcast, the fucking pro rape
podcast number 1,000.
They've been doing it for like 20 years and shit.
Fuck it,
pro rape. Let us explain.
Serious about the rape, man.
Let us explain our reasoning. No.
See, when she says no, she's really trying to say no. But she's really trying to say yes.
And that's what you want. That's what you want. She says yes, it's not going to be a fucking rape, little bitch. Trying to do have normal sex.
God, ooh.
It's a good idea, dude. Podcast number 4 is gonna be like that. That's what this is gonna start being. Rape podcast. All right. So, anyways, no. So what he does is, so then they don't end up hooking up. Nothing ends up happening. And so like a couple days later, he sees her at the same comedy club or whatever, and he goes up to her and he's kind of like, hey, so like what happened last night? You know, like I thought like things were like cool or whatever. What ended up happening? This is what she told him. Is she was like, I like it when she's like, I want a guy to just not even, or to like not listen or like get frustrated or something and then just fuck me or something. And he's like, what the fuck? He's all like, and so like that's his joke. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, I'm not gonna like, he's like, I'm not gonna like rape you just on the off chance that it might be something that you're into. You know what I mean?
Oh God.
Like,
that's totally understandable.
Yeah,
Too.
and it totally makes sense, and it's like legit, you know. But at the same time, it's like that's a good thing to like hear or to know about girls. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, I was actually just reading this book last night. It's called Rapid Escalation.
I thought that said rape, bro. I was like, when I saw it, I was like,
look
R.I.P.
at you, future prophesizing like where this is going. Rape escalation. How an average guy can skip the dating process, just rape this chick in under an hour.
Get hustle and succeed. Get to raping.
Hustle and succeed at your rapes.
God.
Yeah, no, it's this book called Rapid Escalation by mcrae, and it was tight because I was just reading this last night, and he was talking about how he met this chick, and throughout the entire interaction, she kept being like,
putting obstacles in his way.
Right, putting obstacles in the way or not going along with the direction he was trying to go in.
But it was in a very playful manner.
Sort of, yeah, because he would do like, he sent her some text like joking about marriage or something, or how they're not going to get married, and then she said something back that was like, yeah, dude, like don't even think that anything is going to happen, or like something like that. And so it's like really going against it, but it was totally what he was talking about was like, I just persisted through it, and just was like continued on my path with my intentions in mind of us having like a mutually beneficial experience or whatever. And he was like, from my experience, I know that these girls will put up these, different obstacles, or these different, not even obstacles, just like they're putting up this front. It's like a facade or a front, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That it's just kind of, it's a requirement of the mating process for girls to do that, just based on culture and stuff like that, and just how it works. But
and I think most girls are intimidated too, and
yeah,
that's why
so that's what he was talking
those
about.
Walls.
That's what he was talking about. He's like, because then we meet up, and she's being just super quiet and cold, right, throughout their whole interaction. He's trying to kind of talk to her and stuff, but she's just these real short answers, but they're still walking together and they're still hanging out. Mm-hmm. And he's like, there's a reason that she came and met me within like, a few hours of meeting me. You know what I mean? There's a reason that she came out to meet me, and she was leaving on Monday or whatever. So he's like, there's no really other reason that we're meeting up together. So he just persisted through it. That's that attractive persistence, is just being like, you know what? And then, but also calibrating, learning how to calibrate and understand what the girls might be going through. Because then what he did was he was like, you know what? I'm going to choose the frame of mind that she's getting nervous about hanging out with me. She's nervous, doesn't know what to say, or doesn't want to sound like she's boring or sound dumb, definitely. And stuff. So he was like, he started changing his questions from being like these, because he thought he was trying to impress her, like she was getting bored by him or something. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, but he changed his frame of mind to be like, no, she's getting, she's trying to impress me and doesn't want to sound boring to me. Yeah. So he changed his questions to things that were more like, I think he either changed the questions to like where they were less exciting questions or something, where he could like bring it down to this level that she could build up from. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So he started asking these like real basic questions and stuff, and that ended up being like the thing. And he said she kept telling him he was weird. She kept being like, you're the weirdest person I met, and every time he would just say thank you, and so all this stuff, and then they ended up getting together. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, definitely.
And but that's a good example of persistence.
That brings up another point kind of that I wanted to talk about too, is keeping that mentality, that positive mentality.
Yeah.
having a positive mindset regardless of circumstance. And it could have been easy for that guy to be, just to give up and be like, oh, like fuck this, like this isn't going anywhere, like, you know what I mean, and just have that negative mindset. But he was having that positive mindset each and every time, like she put up a wall, like no, like I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep persisting. And like choosing that mindset is something very valuable and very powerful, I think.
Yeah, because it's easy to choose the other mindset.
Yeah,
it's very really easy. And yeah, I wanted to go back to that too, because that's what you were talking about in the beginning. One thing that I wanted to mention is that you were like, it was hard for you to be persistent in the beginning, and I think that comes naturally to everybody, especially in our culture. I don't, because throughout school, my understanding of it, or like what I kind of came to, was that it's like throughout school, it's like we're always told like, hey, don't be, when you're actually being like an attractive dude to girls, which kind of comes naturally in school, you're admonished for it, or you're told like, don't do that, or like stop fucking teasing the girls, you know what I mean? Or it's like you can't I don't know, I'm trying to think of like an example, but it's like whenever you like throw a pen at Kelly in class or something like that, they're like, don't do that, you know what I mean? Not that you should be like throwing pens at girls all the time shit, but it's like fucking, the idea is that you're like, you're conditioned to be like, hey, don't say that to this girl, or don't be like rude to girls and stuff like that, or don't be and then when you are trying to talk to girls and stuff, they're like, it's always getting shut down as you're a kid. And so you grow up to be like all fucking mittens on your hands and shit, or like fucking don't want to touch them and shit, because you're all fucking, that's what you've been told your whole life growing up. Like don't touch, don't fucking all this shit. Leave them alone.
Very true.
Yeah. And so you get older, and now here, like, that's the exact opposite is what you got to do. You know what I mean? Is like being, physical, be touching them, getting in their space and teasing them, making fun of them, and not making fun of them, but making fun with them. You know what I mean? Teasing them in the right way, and building that attraction. And so like, I think that's a reason that persistence is hard to a lot of guys in the beginning, because it's like, it's not what you've been told, and your mom's always been telling you to like treat girls nice and like all this stuff, right? And so persistence is not being nice. You're not being like what am I trying to say? Like outwardly nice, or like what, like your appearance is not nice. But here's what's beautiful about game. What I really love about game is that the things that I've learned through game is inwardly, or things that don't appear to be nice or don't appear to be the right thing or whatever, but in reality,
they're like the nicest.
It's like the best thing you could do. It's the nicest thing you could do, or it's this like you're actually giving this huge value. You know what I mean? And so
people feed off of that.
Yeah, completely. And girls, and I like the way this one dude puts it. He puts it, it's like a kind of a secret society, that where when you start learning all this stuff about game and stuff, it's just you and the girls know what's up. The girls know what you're doing and they like it. But all these other guys who are trying to fucking have kid gloves on and shit, and like be all nice and respectful girls and give them their space when they're upset and stuff. I'm like, fuck that, dude. Like, if a girl gets upset, I'm not gonna leave her alone to her wild sea of emotions and shit. I'm gonna get in there and make her feel good again. I'm gonna get in there and take control. I'm gonna be assertive. I'm gonna be a man and fucking get this shit fucking damn it,
just flip it on its head.
Yeah, or like confine it to like a more specific good emotion instead of all these emotions going on. I'm gonna wrap it up into, or like direct it. I'm gonna put it on a focus of a good emotion. You know what I mean? And that's beneficial to the girl.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons why I've struggled with persistence so much. Like now I don't. Now I feel like very confident in my persistent skills. Yeah, but I would say is the conditioning of like barriers, or like how you react to barriers, or how you react to quote unquote rejection. You know, we're conditioned to, like, once we like hit a barrier, or once we hit like a wall, we treat it like the end. Like, okay, this is it. Time to go back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like trying to go back to square one, when it's really not. It's not that. It's not a closed off barrier. It's actually just a wall, and you have to climb it. Yeah. And from there, if another wall, if you hit another wall, let's climb that one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's almost like you get to climb it too, because that's a thing from sales, where they're like, an objection isn't like it's not a wall that's stopping you. It's not something that's stopping you. It's like it's an opportunity. Like, an objection in sales is an opportunity. You get to share more of the benefits and why it's actually good for the customer, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And
dude.
how it's going to benefit their life. You get this opportunity. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's a good way to look at, like, any objections for girls. It's just like, hey, I get another opportunity to show her why I'm a good option for her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Another thing, like, related to pickup, in my experience, like, I've heard a lot of, like, relationships stem from, like, and this comes from, like, the girl's perspective. They're like, I don't know, like, it just happened, you know? Like, he was, like,
right.
He kept inviting me to places, and, like, we kept going out and stuff, and it just happened.
Plausible deniability. Plausible deniability.
And it's just like, it's like, no, it really didn't just happen like that. From the guy's perspective, you know, like,
right.
Like, he was, like, trying, like, his heart out.
It's like, yeah, right. You literally pulled your titty out in front. You showed me your titty. That didn't just happen. Yeah.
But it just goes
but
to
it's
show,
legit.
like, the power of
girls, show your
know?
titties. Yeah. I'm not saying not to show your titties. I like that.
Yeah, no, but it just goes to show, like, the power of persistence, you know, and it's just like, girls feed off of that, and they love that kind of stuff, and it almost feels to them like it just, like, kind of happened.
Yeah.
When in reality, like all the work that was put in it, like, it was the opposite of that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But it's so good for them to be able to say that.
Yeah.
To their friends, because in our culture it's that slut shaming. It's that, like, you're not allowed to fuck a bunch of guys, you know what I mean?
True.
Which is, and it's like, even guys,
that has a lot to do with it too. That's why girls have walls. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's like the huge reason behind it, or a big factor behind it, is that slut shaming, and that even guys do that. Like, we're guilty of being like, oh, she fucked all kinds of dudes, like, she's not valuable to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like,
true.
Guess who's gonna not fuck you now that you talk like that? You know what I mean? It's like,
very
this chick's
true.
gonna wait 3 goddamn years to fucking let you even see a titty, you know what I mean? And so it's like, if you can display an aura or a belief or like a mentality that you're not judgmental of girls, she's going to pick up on that as well and really like that. And that's like a big factor in people who get, or dudes who get laid quickly, and a difference between dudes who get laid quickly when they meet a new girl and dudes who are talking about how they're fucking, it's taking forever to hook up with this one chick. They've been working on this chick for a long time. It's like, yeah, dude, you probably talk, like, the way you talk, the way you communicate conveys to her that you think, you probably say stuff about sluts and hoes and shit around her. And as soon as she hears those words, guess who's gonna fucking be the opposite, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, dude.
Yeah.
Completely agree with that. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so, yeah, like, that slut shaming and everything, that a girl, for her to be able to say it just happened, is a great defense against that. Like, what better fucking phrase to say? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it just happened. Like, it was just crazy. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
when they talk to their homegirls, yeah, definitely.
They're like, just one thing led to another, and all of a sudden, you know what I mean? And it's like, damn, girl, well, good for you. At least you got some dick, you know what I mean? But it's like, fucking, so it's weird, dude. It's like a weird kind of culture thing, but that's a big factor. And so, yeah,
but definitely. I think many times, like, this happens in a girl's mind, like, subconsciously. Like, they really know what went down, like, the work that went down. But, you know, like, they've been, like, seeing so many fucking, like, chick flicks and shit, like, where it just like happens, where they're just like, yeah, it just happened, just like in that one movie. You know what I'm saying? When they really did that. But I think that's what girls are looking for. That like that one person that fucking jumps those walls. That's what I'm saying. Like persistence is very attractive. Yeah, that's where the attractiveness comes from.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And yeah, so like, just one thing to add too is that it's an interesting world that we live in, or it's an interesting culture, because I think there's a conscious element too to it. There's like a heavy conscious element, because it's just funny. I always think back to like there was this girl at my work, and on one of my new teams, it was funny because like something fell under my desk, and
what fell, bro?
Yeah, no, I don't know I don't remember what it was. I think because we like
wasn't a dildo.
Yeah, she was just masturbating at work by my desk. Yeah, it's not unheard of, but we like shoot Nerf guns and stuff at work, and so I think one of the bullets like went under my desk, and it was just funny because it's like, here's this chick, and she's all right, like I would definitely hit it, and but she's not like the greatest either. But it's funny because she when she gets under my desk, dude, she strides up like all slow kind of, and like comes up, and then she fucking like bends down to go under my desk, and like is noticeably like hardcore noticeably like sticking her ass up like into my fucking face, or like in my line of sight, and I'm like I'm like
smell
on
her
this
booty hole.
Yeah, fuck, that's disgusting. Did you smell her booty hole?
Just like,
yeah. Put my head down. Right as somebody else shoots a fucking Nerf bullet right into her butthole. Just sticks in there, and I'm just smelling her butthole. Where do you work out again? Yeah. No, so, but like, it's like that experience, like I think about that all the time, because for one, it was like legit view. I'm not gonna lie, it was like cool. You know what I mean? I was like tight, like fuck yeah. Is this bitch like noticeably arched over in front of me, all fucking trying to stick her ass in my face, and I'm like fuck, like cool, dude. But then like at the same time, or like what that did, I think I remember that a lot, because I remember thinking like, man, these girls are too damn conscious of what they're doing. You don't do that unconscious, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's a conscious decision. You're like, all right, yeah, let me fucking stick my ass out. You know what I mean? And like, they make these conscious decisions, and like they'll pull down their shirt and like show their cleavage like a little bit, like right at the right time and stuff, when they know you're like about to fucking look over and shit. And like, it's all these little subtle things that they do. So, what I like about that is that just gives you as a man more reference experience, or more understanding of how to be attractive to girls when they're doing that. And the more that you can pick up on this when they're doing it consciously, then you're able to like consciously be like, stay in a positive mindset of like, hey, you know what, this girl does want it, she wants it, and like she's trying to impress me, she's working to impress me, so let me reciprocate that. She wants something out of this, you know what I mean? Or she's at least searching for this, kind of goal, and it's like, cool, I'm gonna do the same thing with her. I'm gonna consciously be aware of what's attractive. She knows her ass is attractive to me, she knows her tits are attractive to me, so I'm like, what do I know that's attractive to her? Being persistent, being assertive, being a fucking man, you know what I mean? Making decisions, leading, and also not being phased by that. So it's like, if a girl puts her titties in your face, or she talks about her titties, or she talks about her ass or her pussy or something right in front of you, and you're just completely unfazed, that's also attractive to girls, right? So
don't let your emotions lead you.
Right, don't let your emotions lead you. And so like,
let your mind lead you.
Yeah, and it shows that you're a man that's capable of like all these confident traits and stuff when you don't get phased by titties in your face and shit. You know what I mean? You act like you fucking get titties in your face all goddamn time. You know what I mean? And so she's gonna respond well to that, and so that's why I'm just mentioning it as a a thing to also be aware of, so that when this kind of stuff starts happening, or when this stuff is happening to you, you handle it in a way where you're not phased, and that becomes more attractive to the girl, and that's how you can persist with the interaction, or be persistent, keep the interaction going. Because a lot of dudes will become unpersistent, or they'll give up when that can be like an obstacle. Like you get too excited, you know what I mean? Or you start getting too overwhelmed and shit, and that can ruin the interaction. And then it's like you can't really persist because you messed up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of
it's your peak.
Yeah, but like what it really all comes down to is staying in that positive mindset. You're staying in this positive mindset, recognizing, hey, she's trying to impress me. I know how to be attractive in this situation, so it's all good. Move on to the next phase, or on to the next step.
Definitely. And for me, like that's also been pretty hard, but it's really like something that you just gotta, like, whenever you have an experience that kind of gets to you, or that like your emotions get in the way, like you gotta like let it go, like let it slide. That's what I do. Like I let it go, I let it slide, and I'm like, all right, like it's not beneficial to go down this route. Like recognizing like the route that you're like going towards is also important, and just like recovering, like getting your ass back in gear. Like fuck that shit, like I know who I am. I'm a badass, and hey, like let's keep going with this. Let's be persistent. So I guess that's the key advice that I want to give to everybody that's listening. Whether you're young, barely starting out, trying to talk to girls, or just, I don't know, even just like talking to people, or even if you're older and you're struggling with this, just be persistent. Don't give up on the first try. Keep going. Don't give up on the second try. Don't give up on the third try. And do it in a very obviously do it in a respectful way, but don't overdo it. Don't like we're not advocating for rape here.
Right. Or even throwing pens. Like throwing pens can be a little bit too much unless you do it right. I've thrown pens at many girls, and it's been built attraction. Yeah. Because you do it right. You're doing it in a fun, playful way. You got to see her. You got to qualify her reaction. Obviously, if you're throwing a pen and she gets uncomfortable, that's when you know. Or like, takes it to the eye. Throw it at her body. Throw it at her torso. Yeah. Don't throw it at her head. Yeah. Yeah. And some girls are because she might turn around and take a pen to the eye. Uncomfortable. Maybe she's been going through some shit, and she responds that way, right? And maybe maybe you feel like shit because of her response, but don't do that. Like, why you're doing it. Yeah. Sometimes people will give you shitty reactions, shitty responses. Yeah. And you shouldn't let that like bring you down, is what I'm saying. Yeah. So just be persistent. Check this out. I want to share this real quick. Yeah. It's this dope ass thing that I read in this book, that same book, Rapid Escalations. And I was just like, damn, like when I saw that, I was like, that's sick as fuck. And because nobody talks like this, nobody says this, but this is a powerful frame of mind to come from. It can just start like setting your life on a better course when you think this way. Because he says he went up, approached 5 girls, and he got rejected by all of them. And then the next line is he's like, I saw some delicious tanned legs on the other side of the street, and a voice in my head said, nah, man, she'll probably just reject you like the last 5 girls. There's no point. And then he said, but this is the part that was dope as fuck. So he said, obviously I know this thinking is total bullshit, but it still comes up from time to time. And he said, the deciding factor in me taking action isn't whether I have that voice in my head, it's whether I choose to listen to it or let it control my actions. And I was just like, damn, like that's some badass shit. And then the next line is, I also have another voice in my head that says, go and do it. Who knows what might happen? What if you bang her? Is it worth risking rejection again? And like, to me, I'm just like, yeah, Yeah, go and do it. Yeah, and it's just like, But I thought that line was sick. The deciding factor in me taking action isn't whether I have that voice in my head, because you can't always control that. I've had that experience where I like just continually get that voice in my head, and it's not like that's gonna go away.
It doesn't.
You know? It doesn't go
for
away.
For me, it's never gone away.
Yeah.
And this is something that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But it's the way, it's what you do.
Yeah,
with that,
how he puts
and how
it
you
too.
how
Like,
you recover from it.
it's
What really
whether-
like determines who you are.
Yeah, I thought it was sick how he put that, because he's like, the deciding factor in me taking action isn't whether I have that voice in my head, it's whether I choose to listen to it or let it control my actions. So that voice is always going to be there.
Those thoughts are gonna be there.
Are you going to let it keep controlling you or directing your actions, or are you just going to recognize, hey, there's this voice in my head, and I can choose whether or not I let it control my emotions and my actions and shit. It's that powerful. That's where like you start. I like how one of my mentors says it's like people are all trying to get a 6-pack of the body, but he's like, have a 6-pack of the mind, all sick. And I just love that, because that's a perfect example of that's how you get a 6-pack of the mind. And I think people should get a 6-pack of the body too if they can, you know what I mean? Or like they should try to like work for it, because it's healthy to have your physical body healthy as well. And it gives you an idea of how hard it is, you know, like to get a 6-pack, or even to like build muscle and shit, or like do any kind of like thing that you're trying to do for your physical body health. You'll start to see how tough it is, you know, or like what it takes to do it, and like how fucking much that shit can hurt, dude. And then, but the next day or a couple days later, you're looking in the mirror and you have a 6-pack. You know what I mean? And so it's the same, and you start to like correlate that to the same thing that's happening in your mind, because that's an example of like building a 6-pack of the mind is when you have that voice in your head, and it's that voice you are gonna hear all the time. You're always going to hear it every time you go to try to talk to a girl or something, or you get rejected or something by like 5 girls, and then you still see another one that you like, you know, and you want to talk to her. It's like you're going to get that voice saying, nah, man, like she's just going to reject you like the last 5 girls. But it's whether you choose, if you make the decision to be like, fuck that thinking is bullshit, I'm going to go do it, because there's a potential, I can open up the potential for us to get intimate together, for us to be together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like that you just like carved one of the fucking lines of the 6-pack in your mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I honestly think, like in my experience, that there's really no way to get around like those negative thoughts. Like those negative thoughts are going to happen. You know, that's just part of like the human condition, in my opinion. But so I'm not trying to say here like, oh, those thoughts are gonna like cease to exist, and you're gonna like, there's a way where you can just be like a complete badass and just have positive thoughts all the time. No, like I don't believe in that. Like I'm realistic. So it's like, that's what it is. I mean, you have to, instead of trying to fight it, like embrace it. I think that's when you try to fight it, it becomes even harder. Just embrace it. Embrace that the thought is happening, you know. But then like analyze it and say like homeboy, you know, analyze it and say, hey, this is a negative fucking defeating thought. Right. Then that's all it really is. Like how can I?
Am I gonna let it control me?
Yeah.
Or am I gonna let it direct my actions?
Exactly.
And that's where
that positive mindset comes in.
That's where the positive mindset comes in, and that's where you have the decision to make.
You're in control.
That's where you get to become in control. You know what I mean? Too many people are acting like they're not in control or something. You know what I mean?
Definitely. You're in control of your mind, and that's all that really matters. Like fuck what's going on in, you know, the world or whatever. Like you're just in control of your mind. And it's really just a matter of perspective. Yeah. Flipping your perspective. You know, like homeboy could have easily said like, fuck, all girls are the same and they're all gonna fucking reject me. Yeah. And where would he have been?
Yeah. Yeah, and I another thing that he says is he's like by making the decision to do it, he's like, I'm fortifying, or I'm building up the muscle or something. He's like, I'm like positioning myself, or I'm creating myself to be this person who does take action, right? And he's like, So that's another choice that I am able to make in my head, is it's like, no, by going up and approaching, I have this potential for us to get together, be intimate or whatever, and it's rewiring my brain, or it's changing my brain to recognize that I'm a person who takes action, right, and just does it. So that's another...
and it becomes a habit to take
right.
action.
And he's building up that habit of taking action. So that's like, and that skill, you know, just that skill in general. And so, yeah, that's a cool thing to... when you take that mentality of being like, yeah, I want to be a person who, you know, takes action, or I want to, you know, build that skill up in myself, that can be a thing that can motivate you to do it, or to, you know, when you have those negative voices in your head, by being like, I can choose to choose those negative voices, or I can choose to be like, hey, let me build up the skill of being a person who takes action.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was watching this, this is unrelated to pickup, but it's related to what we're talking about, and taking action, having a positive mentality. There's the Olympics are going on right now, and there was this one story about this girl who's a swimmer. I think she's like 17 years old. She was a Syrian refugee. Yeah. And she was in Syria, like, training and shit, right? And fucking like the way she was telling the story, she's like, yeah, like, we would be training, and like we would hear bombs and stuff, and like one time, like, they bombed the building, and like it opened up the building. Yeah. And I was like, holy fuck, like, god damn, that shit is fucking hardcore. And then she's like, yeah, but I wasn't just gonna like stand there and be like, oh my god, like, they're bombing us, you know what I mean? Like nah, like, I was like still like showing up every day and like training, and whatever happened. You know what I mean? I was like, god damn, this girl's like that's as positive as like like she was just taking control of her mindset. Exactly. You know, obviously she had no control over the bombs, she had no control over like what the fuck was going on with the conflict or whatever, but she did have control over herself, and that's all that really mattered. That was her like internal world, and that was all that mattered. So I don't know, it was just a little like dope example of like how a positive mindset can benefit you. And now she's in the Olympics, bro, competing. Yeah. In the Olympics.
Dude, that's even that's an awesome example even of persistence. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Definitely. I just love that shit.
She could have easily been like, fuck, I'm gonna go home and and then who knows what would have happened, you know? Right.
That's like the ultimate fucking example of persistence. Being like fucking bombs opening up your goddamn training facility and shit. Right?
That's 17 years old, bro.
Yeah, that's your location and shit. Yeah, fucking yeah, dude, that's one of the best examples of persistence. And so yeah, what I encourage people to do with that information is, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You know, on that note, that was a dope ass note to wrap it up on, man. Perfect. Because what I encourage people to do is, when you get information like that, when you hear stories like that, that's a reference experience. That's something you can base your future ideas off of, you know, and, you know, that will be part of your thought process. And what I encourage people to do is try to apply that information, see how you can apply it to picking up girls, or with any kind of issue that you're struggling with right now, you know, and learn how to, or like, you know, think about it and think of how you can apply that knowledge, or think about those feelings that like you would go through if your building got opened up by a bomb and shit, and imagine persisting through that. When things are hard in your life, just think of them as like the bombs. You know what I mean? These are when things are hard, or when things aren't going your way, think of them as the bombs that are going off at your training facility. But just remember and think back to this girl, and think about how she stuck with it, even though these bombs were hitting her training facility. So the hard things you're dealing with are like the bombs that are hitting your training facility. But if you persist through it, you have the potential to become an Olympic gold medalist at whatever the thing is that you're struggling with, whatever the thing is you're trying to overcome. You have the potential to become an Olympic gold medalist at that shit. Try to take the feelings that you're feeling about these girls and stuff like that, and apply that same persistent mentality, or that positive mindset that, you know, just not giving up at all and just like sticking with it. You know what I mean? And just seeing what comes of that, because now she's this person competing in the Olympics, and
just being a boss and just owning her life,
being a boss and having all this potential, and you know that creates all these opportunities. She's hugely inspirational to me already, you know, but I'm sure she touched the lives of a whole bunch of people. But yeah, that's a huge value that you provide to the world when you go through this traumatic experience like that, or you go through something so crazy, or multiple experiences of crazy different shit, but you stick with it, you persist, and you stick with it and you persist towards your end goal of, you know, competing in the Olympics or doing something on a big scale where you're inspiring a lot of people.
Yeah,
that's hugely inspirational and a perfect example of persistence.
Yeah,
and a positive mindset.
And all I want to say is, yeah, just be assertive, be persistent. I promise you that you'll see benefits in your life.
Yeah.
And so stay up and stay persistent.
Yeah. Legit.